Hey everyone, so we're back again, this time a little bit earlier than last time, but it's because we have a suggestion from a viewer named AK Gaming. He says, or she says, you should try to make a fast car with approximately 50 horsepower. And I thought that was an excellent idea, so let's do it. So basically what's going to happen in this video is I have selected a body. It's this one here, it's the 1946 coupe. What I've done is I've cranked up the year to be the newest year possible, just because I think that's important. But what we're going to do is we're going to go totally unrealistic. We're going to do every light option that we can, and we're going to make an engine that has 50 horsepower, and then we're going to race it around the track in BeamNG. So stay until later on to do that. This is probably going to be a bit of a longer video, but I'm also going to edit it more because I want to spend a lot of time on this. Let's make it right. Here's the basic chassis. Now, my idea is we're just gonna screw all realism. We are going to make it as light as we possibly can. It is going to be, I guess we're gonna have to go semi-space frame because it's lightest. Now, this car actually has a lot of cool options where you can put the engine pretty much anywhere. So what we're gonna do is let's go for max sportiness here. I'm not exactly sure. We'll do it mid-longitudinal engine, so I'm assuming, I think mid means behind the front axle, so that'll be interesting. When it comes to this, we're probably going to do push rods on all areas, so it's like, this is a sports car. When it comes to quality, I'm unsure. We're going to leave the quality for now, and then I will raise it if we need to. So the engine is super important. We need to make exactly 50 horsepower, that's what I'm going to say, and we want it to be as light as possible. So my thinking is that we would do an inline 4, so we can get a little bit of torque, because it's probably going to be stopped by maybe like the exhaust size or a rev limiter or something, so it can still have good torque at the bottom end. It's not going to be fast overall, but we'll have to see what we can do with it. But I do want to make it reasonable. Also, I think we're going to go rear wheel drive just because it would be lighter. Let's start with a 2-liter. We'll just make it a 2-liter. It's pretty tall for this car. Now, what we want to do, this stuff doesn't matter for weight, so we're going to just do the best that we can do. We're going for RPM. Valves, it's not going to matter. Emissions to us also doesn't matter because this is going to be a race car. So let's see. That's light. This actually raises the weight, so we won't go with VVL for now. Current engine does not fit. Oh goodness, it is temperamental. It's currently a 1-liter, which is pretty small. Wow, so this is a really small engine. It's going to be, this is the size that I can get it using this layout. So we're going to have to go with a 1.1 liter, which is really tiny. So we'll be able to make 50 horsepower pretty easily, but I was hoping to get a little bit bigger. But overall, it's fine. That's going to work for us. So we're going billet steel because it is the lightest. We want as light as possible. Because what's going to make this car fast is the power to weight ratio. We don't have a lot of power, so if we have very little weight, it can still be reasonably quick. And that's why I turned up the year to the fullest. Basically, I am trying to do what we can to get like the best technology that we can possibly have. So we'll do lightweight forge as well. I'm not going to raise the quality slider because as you can see, oh, actually this lowers weight in that case. Hold on, let's check the quality slider over here. This apparently is not doing anything. Oh, so this is less weight as well. So we'll keep that up there. Compression, we're not sure. We're not going to do VVT unless we need to. I don't think we will. Just because it adds weight. We're not going to need a turbo because it won't have any upper end. It's going to only have 50 horsepower. Now, when it comes to this, I'm thinking we go direct injection. The weight on this doesn't matter, so we'll just do it exactly as necessary. We're going to do the race intake as well. And when it comes to gas, we're going to put in the best gas that we can get into it. We're not going to worry about this stuff. But cranking this up seems like the best option. We'll just try and make, it's probably going to make way too much power. That's the problem. So let's see, race. We're not going to need crazy exhaust, so we'll go for long tubular instead of the race exhaust, which looks like this. The thing is just a knot right there. So long tubular. We're going to leave the exhaust diameter low because it will be limiting the engine. And we're just going to not have any of this stuff just because it weighs more. And also, so it currently makes 70 horsepower. That is a little too much, which is unfortunate. If we raise the exhaust, it makes about the same. So it makes about 70 horsepower. That's actually pretty good. But I'm going to lower the exhaust on purpose. And one thing that we have to do as well, I would like to raise the RPM limit. As you can see, this thing can take a lot of RPMs, but it's just not quite the way we need it. We need to lower the horsepower, which is something that doesn't happen too often on this channel. What I want to do is lower the horsepower in a way that makes sense. Just limiting the RPM doesn't work well for me. I want to do it so it's... Oh, okay, so if we lower the cam profile, we should be able to get down to exactly 50. And there we go. So 50 horsepower, oh boy. So the RPM limit is way too much right now. We'll lower that down. We'll have it rev out a little bit. So that is a perfect 50 horsepower right there. It's got a boatload of torque, caps out at 50 horsepower and it stays there. I like it. I think that this engine is one that is worthy of our car. So we're going to put it in this. Now the reason that I chose this body is just because I like the look of it. That's pretty much it. Also, all of these old cars are very simple, and usually they're quite light. I know the minis, for example, are very light. So we're going to... I was going to do a mini, but I decided instead that we would do something like this. So what I'm going to try and do... we don't need much body-wise. It says the current engine does not fit. Right, so let's get back to the body. So what we did there was we just changed it to be... the engine is now in the front because the size was messing up. I don't exactly know why. I'm just going to leave the body as is. I'm not sure about this stuff. We'll have to see if this raises weight or not. I want it to be as light as possible, like I said, so we'll have to consider that. When it comes to color, let's do something... oh, that's bad. We haven't done any red cars, have we? So if we turn this up, we can make it red. We can make it a little bit darker. Turn the flake up a little bit, you know. Turn down the shine. It's a very odd red, and I keep overwriting all of my colors as well. So that's the primary. Let's do a carbon fiber bonnet. Oh, you know what? That doesn't look very good. We'll just leave it as is. And trim, we'll do chrome trim, just because I've been neglecting that, so we may as well. We'll do carbon fiber wheels though. Colors don't really matter in this. It's more just for the style choice. Now I'm wondering, in this game, do fixtures add weight? And the answer is probably yes, but I think for the sake of the look of this car, we are going to do them anyway. I'm just going to have these just because I want the car to look decent. I don't want it to be super ugly. But yeah, we should definitely consider that. Taillights, I think this thing would have those ones that stick out. Oh boy, okay, so I think the taillights came with spears. It's like a lipstick light. It's... they're just massive. We're actually going to do 2 of them, just because we may as well, but these bottom ones are going to be orange. Oh boy, that's an ugly looking car. Okay, that's a little bit better. It's just slightly better. Fuel cap, we'll put a fuel cap on the car. It will need fuel, despite probably not taking very much because of how small the engine is. Alright, when it comes to grills, I don't know what a car like this in the day would have. So I put a grill on it, and it kind of looks like a face, and I'm okay with that. We'll just have to leave it. When it comes to wheels, I'm considering these older style wheels. I'm thinking that'll work. We're probably going to need door handles because we need to get into it. But back in these days, it would definitely be door handles like this. So we'll put those on up here. That's a classic look there. We're going to need some mirrors. Just because it has to be quick doesn't mean it can't... What the heck? Yeah, that's not terrible. I don't mind it. We're not going to worry about bumper bars, although this thing could probably use one. Maybe like this. Oh, you know what? That actually does kind of look good. Wow, that sticks out so much. Okay, never mind. We won't worry about bumper bars. We will put a little exhaust on though, just a tiny one, not like the Brodozer. Just drop it down a little bit, just a tiny little exhaust. That's all it needs. Yeah, I think overall it doesn't look terrible. I don't mind the front, but I think the back is a little bit hideous. Okay, we're going to experiment one more time with the bumper bars. You know what? A bit of a table on the back? That's not bad. That'll work perfectly. Alright, moving on. Now is the fun part. So we have to put in what kind of system we want. I'm thinking rear wheel drive. When it comes to transmissions, we're going to do a manual, and also we're going to do a 4-speed. This thing, it actually seems like it's going to be pretty quick. I have in the past ruined cars just based on this, so gotta pay more attention here. I just don't quite know what I'm doing with the transmission, to be honest. So it says better sportiness if you have a lower down area, but is that too tall a first gear? That's the issue that it becomes. Is 50 kilometers an hour too short for the first gear? We'll just have to leave it. Differential wise, we're probably going to need, let's do this because it's the weight. We'll crank that up, which lowers down the weight, I think. Yep, that lowers the weight of things, so we'll keep that up high. When it comes to tires, we'll do those. I think we should go, they all weigh the same, so we'll go semi-slicks, so it's going to be quick. When it comes to tires, it's recommending that we widen them to 251, and then 218 on the back. That doesn't make any sense. If we raise the width, it's just going to stick out of the fenders, and it's going to up the weight as well. I'm thinking we'll do 180s on the back, and we'll keep the fronts pretty small, but we'll do 175s on the front. That's pretty small. And when it comes to wheels, we will do carbon fiber wheels, and we're going to raise the quality of those as well. Yeah, we're definitely going to need that. So wheel diameters, so we can shrink that, but the tire is going to get bigger. So I think 12s makes sense, and then the tire diameter is also fine. I don't think that's going to make too much of a difference. When it comes to brakes, we'll do carbon ceramic brakes. We're not going to need too much, so we'll do 2 pistons, and we'll just keep the size where it is. More sportiness makes sense to me, and we'll also up the quality, which will lower the weight down a little bit. So under tray, wow, this thing is raised up high. We haven't even got to suspension yet. Under tray, we are going to need to, so if we go none, okay, we're probably just gonna not need anything. That's not gonna matter because we don't have any aero. We're gonna take out all the possible seats. It's going to be a 1-seater. And the interior is going to be, the interior is going to be basic with no infotainment, and we will lower the interior quality. Because here it says less weight and lower material costs, so it is like, this is a race car and nothing else. So we're not going to have any power steering. We will, however, raise that up, and we'll have that as well. No safety at all, and we'll raise that. When it comes to the suspension, we are going to do, let's see, so this doesn't seem to matter. We'll do active sport. It doesn't seem to affect the weight, so we'll just do that. It is bad in all ways, but we're going to do a sport preset as well on the ride height, and we cannot adjust it at all, but we'll raise the quality of it. If that's the actual ride height, then I am ever confused, but there we go. So it's a 50 horsepower 1-seater, naturally aspirated. The weight of it is here. So it's only 587 kilos. That is very light. That is very light. Let's take a look at it in the exporter just to make sure that we're getting somewhere. So it's very tall, and that is concerning. I'm going to take a minute and try to figure this out, and we'll figure out what's wrong with it. What have I done? So we're just going to export it to Beam the way it is. I'm going to see if it's wobbly or anything, and if it has issues like that, then I'll have to come back to the drawing board. I don't know what's up with it. Alright, so here is our creation in BeamNG Drive. It looks like a monster truck, I'm not gonna lie. The thing is massive. It also somehow has leaves in the front, and I get in push rods in the back as well. I don't know why it has leaves in the front, but I did not do that. I'm thinking that's just because of the model and the way that it had to import into the game. Hopefully it doesn't actually affect its performance, but yeah, it's quite a nice red. It's a nice bright red, but that's not what's important. So let's do a test lap around the track, and we'll talk about this thing. So it is extremely quiet, which is nice. Overall, it's actually quite fast. It's only got 50 horsepower, but it's so light that it is very quick. I think the only issue with it is my own doing, and that is the suspension being raised up. But I have a suspicion, and that is that these older cars just tend to do that in this game when you mess with them too much. So right now we're driving the track. This track is going to be what we will be doing timed laps around. I have done that in the past, and I'm going to continue that just because it's a lot of fun, and I think it's cool to see what these cars can do. Oftentimes it comes down to my own skill, as we'll see soon, but yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 laps of each car, and then we will go back. I'll edit the whole video, I'll have all the footage and everything, and then I'll go back and discuss the results as well. So first things first, let's talk about the cars that we have. So first one is going to be this one. We just made this. It's got 50 horsepower. It is very light. It is very, very expensive, but goodness. Next thing is not the bus or the concrete barriers, but it is instead this. You may have seen this on my channel before. My girlfriend made this in automation, and it is hideous. It has a twin turbo V8. Now I know immediately you're thinking, that doesn't seem too fair, but this thing also suffers from the bad suspension, but its suspension is not stiff at all or very good, and its brakes are horrible. So it suffers from the terrible brake syndrome, but also a ton of power. So I think it's actually a decent match. It's not as unfair as you may think, but we will see when the times come. I'm gonna have a hard time driving this thing. It is real bad, so thank you for that. And also we have this. This is just a bone stock Fiat. This is a Beam car. It just came with the game in the latest Italy update. But yes, it is not very quick. I don't know how much power it has. I could check, but it's rear-engined. It's kind of like a Beetle Fiat, but it's sort of looks more like a Fiat. I don't know. It's an odd-looking car, but it's not very quick. I think it's a very fair competitor to our version of it over there. And then here we have something that is truly fast. This is an old car that did not suffer from the jumping up of the suspension. This thing is a twin turbo V12. It has 2600 horsepower, really good brakes. It was my attempt early on in having automation to make like the coolest, fastest car that I can make, and other than the color, I think I nailed it. But yeah, it is just wicked fast. So that'll be our top in the leaderboards, but it'll also be an interesting one to match up to, and it is probably going to be the fastest thing to ever go around this track. I do plan on using this track in the future. I like this track a lot. It is simple, it is quick, and it's easy for me to just set up some barricades like the 2 buses and the barriers, and just go with it. So that's what I'm thinking. So let's start off the leaderboard today with this thing right here. We're going to line up on this line, try and do it straight. I'm driving all cars using the Beam manual, the Beam automatic transmission, like they shift for you. The reason I'm doing that is just because it's easier to focus and talk at the same time, but ideally I should be using manual, but I'm not. So let's take this thing off the line and we'll start our 2 laps. 3, 2, 1, and off it goes. So talking about this car, it is not bad. Like I said, it actually has really good handling. Its turn-in is quite good. I would say one thing it does lack is power out of the corners, but that is what you would expect with only having 50 horsepower. Overall, it's just a really good car. I'm very surprised. What we could do in the future is we could do another couple of cars like this. We could do a bunch of cars that all have around 50 horsepower, and they're all built the same with the same design idea in mind. And then we could just race them all on this track and then see which one is the fastest. But I'm thinking that overall this one is actually pretty decent for a first attempt. In the future, I think I would go with a newer body style, just to avoid the issue of it hopping up like it did. But overall, it's very composed. It's not bad to drive. It is actually really, really easy to drive. It's not super quick, but it has so good brakes and such good handling that you don't have to worry about that too much. Alright, so we have finished our first lap, and that was quick. Like, that was a quick lap there. But we're going on to the flying lap. This one will be the final lap of this run. And I just wanted to say, I'm doing these suggestions because I really like the suggestion that has been given. So if you have any ideas, just comment them below. Let me know what you think of this one and how I could improve it, as well as just letting me know what other things you want to see on the channel. I'm going to keep making these videos. I have a bunch of ideas still, but it was very encouraging to see that comment and to like feel that that's something that's good to do. So yeah, let me know what else you want to do. I have some other ideas that I want to go through first, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Alright, so we're coming around the corner, and that's it. We have finished our lap with this thing. So I'm going to look at all the results at the end. We will just look at them all quickly, and we'll talk about them at the end once I have everything ready. So up at the starting line, we have my girlfriend's car that she made. I'm hoping that she can make some more so I can make fun of them too. Just kidding. But they're all bad so far. Let's race this thing. It has such bad brakes. I am very worried. So let's go. 3, 2, 1. Alright. 750 horsepower off the line is great. Oh no. Okay. I'm going to have to really readjust. Because it is really not good at turning at all. It's actually, it's more composed than I anticipated, but like around corners like this, I'm brakes all the way down, and we're still sliding out of the corner. This thing has such a good get up and go that I think it will do a faster lap than the other car. Oh, unless I mess it up. But I am being conservative with it. I'm not being too crazy. I just want to make sure that I can get it around the track without crashing like I did on the last one. This is a little bit more of a serious run, I'll say, than previously. Oh no! As I said that, I hit the stands. The brakes in this thing are remarkably bad, so... Oh no, it's slightly leaning to the side now. But we will take it easy on the flying lap here, and we'll try to get a decent time out of it. No restarting allowed for this thing, so it's all up to this. Not too bad so far around these corners, going around the hairpin here. It is really having a hard time braking. I think she put drum brakes on this thing, and I am concerned for the way that she thinks about cars in the future. Let us get around the bus corner here, and hopefully we can complete this lap without hitting the stands again, but instead we go off into the grass. So this is what I mean when I'm talking about that other car being controllable. Like, this one might have a lot of power, but it is completely uncontrollable. Come on. Okay, we're drifting in the last corner, and we'll just accelerate as fast as we can around here. And we cross the line. Well, it's not great, but it's still reasonably fast. I think that the transmission on this one suffers as well. Whatever I'm doing in this game, I'm not doing it right when it comes to transmissions. Alright, so here we have a good challenger. This one is the little Fiat slash Beetle, and it is probably something that I think would line up well with the red car that we've created. It is very red over there. It looks like a tomato. Yeah, let's see what this thing can do. I'm very interested to see how it performs. So 3, 2, 1, and it's over the line. Right, so we're off to a blazing start here. It is really not quick. It is actually slower than I anticipated. Maybe I should have gone for an upper model of this thing. You know what? It's consistent, I'll say that. It is consistent. You do not hardly need to press the brakes at all on this thing. It does not have much get up and go, though. It is quite slow. Oh boy. So we're coming up to the longer stretch here. We're gonna have to witness the vicious power of whatever air-cooled engine this thing has. You can get a pretty fast version of this car, just from Beam. They have a bunch of different models as they normally do, and I elected to go for the slowest one because I've only ever driven the fastest one, and I assume that every one of them is like the fastest one. But yeah, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this thing is just that much slower than our creation. I can't assume that it has more than 50 horsepower though. It's probably got somewhere around there, and this thing would be light as well. We could lighten it more. We could take out the back seats. We could strip off all of its chrome and stuff. Beam does actually consider that for weight. Oh boy. Well, you barely need to use the brakes on this thing, but I did have to touch them around that corner for fear of hitting the bus. So far, so good, honestly. This thing is very composed. It is... Oh, we're going off the cliff. Oh, okay, not too bad. We were able to get it back on track there and continue on. So what I want to do in the future is maybe set up a Google Doc with a leaderboard or something, because I want to keep using this track. This is one that is already in Beam, so it's just easy to do. And then every time I already know the route, but I put out buses specifically so that you know where I'm going and that I'm being consistent with things. I put out those buses just as walls to keep things organized, but I'll probably stop doing that in the future just because they do make the game lag a little bit. And finished. Well, this little thing is quite slow. Its engine has overheated just in that hard driving that we just did, and I am concerned for its health. Man, that thing is slow. So on the topic of things that are slow, let's talk about things that are the complete opposite of slow. This car is ridiculously fast. It is a twin-turbo V12 that makes 2,600 horsepower. It's all-wheel drive, carbon ceramic brakes, the best that I could put on it. I did not crank up the boost on the turbo, but I should have. This thing is wicked fast. Now, the only issue that I have with it is controlling it, so let's see if I can do that on this track. 3, 2, 1. Alright, off we go. It is a blazing start here. Okay, you know what? Let's try that again. Let us not rely on the brakes to make up for 2,600 horsepower. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so you know what? I'll be a little bit more careful with it this time. It is fast, but that doesn't mean that you can just hold the throttle on a car that has 2,600 horsepower and just expect to keep it on the road. Even all-wheel drive isn't going to save you from that much power, as it spins the wheels in every single gear, and it may have grip for days, but it cannot get around every corner with extreme precision. It's more like an untamed beast. Like it just will not hold itself on the road. One thing I'm interested to try is 2,600 horsepower, but rear-wheel drive and just the lightest car that we can get. I think that it would be completely uncontrollable and like 100% a donut machine, even with the biggest tires that we can put on it and semi-slicks. So we managed to hit boost there, which was pretty decent. It does not hit boost too often because the V12 has so much torque. But that was a pretty good first lap, I think. We will have to see in the times in a few minutes. Oh, front right brake is fading. Dun dun dun. I think something that I could do in the future is make a better version of this car. Something with the same engine. We'll just copy its specs, and then we'll put it in a different body, and also make it better at cooling itself. Like, the engine isn't even getting hot because I cranked up the cooling on this car, but I ignored the brakes, and so it suffers quite a bit with brake fade. Alright, so we're gunning it here. Alright, we made it across the line. Goodness, this thing is a tank. Right, so that is our video today. Let's take a look at the results though, and we'll see how things go. Alright, so taking a quick look at the results, we have on the top of the leaderboard, as expected, the 2600 horsepower monster. Ironically, I put it on the bottom with a fastest lap of 54.4 seconds. That's the flying lap. But interestingly enough, the 50 horsepower car that we just made did a 56.6 flying lap. So it's only 2.2 seconds slower than the 2600 horsepower monster, which is nuts. That is really fast. I think we've done something good here. I think that the track is much more designed for better handling cars, so the lighter the car, the better, which is why that 50 horsepower car went well. But let's take a look at the other results. So we have my girlfriend's homemade car coming in at a close third. It's not that close. She got a 60.2 seconds on the flying lap, or I did, driving her car. And the Fiat knockoff being the slowest, surprisingly so, 14 seconds slower than the 50 horsepower car, so I was way off. I should have used a more powerful Fiat, but it had 70 seconds. So that's the leaderboard, that's what's going on. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I put a bit more effort into it than I normally would on these ones. Yeah, I want to keep doing stuff like this, and I'm very interested to continue in the future with that. But yeah, let me know if I can improve on anything, and if you noticed any mistakes, and if we can figure out what's going on with that suspension, that'd be great. But yeah, it's been good. Thank you. See you next time.